I know you don't want to be pounding on the table publicly that you want to be traded and all that stuff because you see what happens to the KDs and the Hardens and some of these other players that's just like bang the table and want it out and they get attached to this whole thing. But you've earned the right. You've earned the right. You're one of the best players in the league, and your team is not doing what it needs to do in order to stay competitive. You still want to win. So, yes, trade me, please. Let's get this party started. Dear Legacy, please excuse my balls. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's Please Excuse My Balls, brought to you by Dear Legacy Sports. It's your boys Kevin B. the Brand, and this is episode 15. Guys, it's a great time to be alive. The sun's shining nice and bright. I'm probably going to look funny as hell on this episode, but it's okay because I'm going to keep trying to dodge the light coming in through these blinds. I ain't got no blackout sheets right now, guys. This is temp space. So I usually record at night. And if I record in the morning, I usually tend to do it before the sun comes up because of where the sun is coming up from. But had to record. So let's just do this thing. Just watch me keep dodging the light. Let's just jump right into the kickoff, guys. And in the kickoff, it's time for me to brag about me and my son, y'all. The West Bridgewater Wildcats third grade travel team, Team Bartholomew, aka Killer Bees, won their first playoff game 36-32 versus Mansfield Green to move on to play against the number one seed, Mass Premier Norfolk, for a chance to play for the championship. Guys, let me tell you something. It was an exciting third grade game that I seen. The boys played amazing. It was a wire to wire win, thank God. But it came close. It came close, and then your boy had to get his little coaching skills up because other coach almost outcoached me on this one. He was hiding his best player and subbing him in when I would sub in my second line. All the kids play. Rightfully so. His development is for fun. At their level, the rules are a little bit different. They can only play man. You don't play zone. There's no stealing. You gotta allow the kids to dribble. They could take the ball if it's loose and wild, but at their age, now some of these kids at the third grade level, I ain't gonna hold you. Them boys gonna be some problems in some AAU programs. My kids, they got a lot of development to do, but when they play team ball and they rely on each other, it's crazy what they could do. And it was shown this past week. And I also think my team doesn't play well when we have early morning games. Anytime we have to play after 10, that's when we're good. If we're playing before 10 o'clock, oh boy, count them out. I think they stay up late Friday nights before or Saturday nights before, and then by the time it's time to play the game, they're not ready for it. They just, yeah. But they played one hell of a game, and you see shout out to all my kids. I don't want to put their full names and govies out there, but we had one kid sink crucial foul shots when the other coach took a foul, because in our league you could take fouls and put your people on the line. The first time he did it, we only got one out of the two shots and made it a 3-point game. They went down. We took a foul and made it a 2-point game. And we're talking about seconds left in this game. At this point, call a timeout because I know what he's going to do. He's going to try to do the foul game again. But this time, when they call for the foul, you get to choose who the shooters are. So, but it had to be somebody who's on the court. So I called a timeout to get the right personnel on the court. Had my kid go out there, and I knew for a fact. I thought we was gonna get one, but he sank both of them to extend the lead to 4 points. And then what I didn't realize, shout out to one of my assistants, he texts the other assistant who came running out to me and started shoving me onto the court and trying to explain to me one of the rules that I just was not aware of. So when the coach takes a foul, they also make it a 5 second runoff. At this point, there's only like 15 seconds left in the game. So when he does that, it takes 5 seconds off. We're left with 10 seconds. So then I return the favor and I take he gets left with 5 seconds when he does it the second time around. So then I tell the referee, no matter what happens, I'm taking a foul, whether we make it or don't make it. That way it would run off 5 seconds and it was left with 0.4 seconds. From there, it did happen. Uh, our player hit both his free throw shots, extending the game to 4 points. We took the foul. I didn't even allow my guys to stand in the thing. I didn't want no and one putbacks and taking foul. Nah, I'm not doing none of that stuff. And then the game ended. We won the game 36-32 to move on to play in the semis. Let me tell you something about your boy Caden B. Caden B is a defensive hawk. The moment he gets into the level where they could actually steal the ball and really play defense, I think it's going to be a cheat code unlocked for him. Offensively, we still got some work to do. You've seen the clips and the videos. Like the boy does his thing, but he's not out there for his offensive prowess. He's out there for his defensive prowess. It's the beauty in making my life easier is I get to put him on their best player, and he fights through picks. He could play. He is fast up and down the court, so it just makes it a whole lot easier. And I have my closing lineup that makes the job get done. So it'll be interesting to see if we could pull this one off and play in a championship game. I'm looking at the other two teams that are remaining in the other semis. It's one team we've played, we beat. Another team, it came close, we lost by 2. So I would love to see if we get past this number 1 seed team. We should be able to potentially win it all. And season started slow, but that's what the playoffs is all about. Just get in. You get in and you see what happens from there. So shout out to the WB Wildcats for their first playoff victory. And speaking of top-notch teams, my UConn women finished the season 31-0, their 11th time taking care of business and not having a blemish on their record. Now, 31-0 is great, but I've been undefeated before in football. UConn women also, and we've won championships, but last thing you want to see is go undefeated and lose in the big dance. So, little nervousness. Probably from being, but I mean, the UConn women, they're hands down clear cut favorites to win it all. But there's no such thing as clear cut favorites when it comes to March Madness. That's why they got the name March Madness. It's because things just go crazy. All right, so it ain't clear cut. They're favored. They should be favored. I don't see how they don't win it all, but you got the South Carolinas of the world, you got the TCUs, you got the Texas. It all comes down to how that bracket actually ends up playing out on March 15th when brackets come out. They should be consensus overall number 1. They'll be number 1 in their region and number 1 overall in the tournament. And other news, draft combine ended. A lot of prospects raised their draft stock. Some people that, you didn't see much out of, but they'll have their pro days to really wow you. See if they could get their draft to rise even higher from where it currently stands. Jeremiah Love, let's be completely frank and honest. I know this is a quarterback-driven league. Mendoza earned the right as a Heisman MVP and prospect for a team with the Las Vegas Raiders, but there's no surprise and there's no doubt in anybody's mind that Jeremiah Love is the best player in this draft. And we know he's going somewhere inside the top 10. And as a running back, a lot of people don't like picking running backs because of their shelf life with top 10s and all that, but you can't deny this talent. And he's not a normal running back. He's a pass catching running back. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe his 40 time was 4.32 or some craziness like that, almost sub 4.3. This is ridiculousness. Like, if he catches in the open field, and he is built. So it's not only just speed, he could power through things too, you know. So I mean, we saw it while they did their playoff run with Notre Dame. Unfortunately, this year they didn't get a chance to make a run at the dance. Who would have known if Notre Dame would have played in this year's um, college football playoffs? But it is what it is. The chips fell how the chips fell. But in my opinion, Jeremiah Love, whatever team ends up with him, you have. Yes, I understand that the quarterback is the franchise guy, but this is a franchise player right here. Um, the teams that are quarterback needy, I get it. You want to solidify yourself with quarterback, but when you're talking about the Jets at number two and some of these other teams, it's like, are you gonna reach and go grab a quarterback that is not deserving? Are you gonna stay and go with pass edge rush? Or do you get the best player in the draft? I think when you're at a position need, but the talent doesn't justify the pick, you should just get the best player available to you. But we're talking about the Jets. We're talking about some teams that just can't get right. So you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs picking at number 9. You let Jeremiah Love go to KC. It's a cheat code for them. Um, I wouldn't be surprised. Why wouldn't Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City get the best player in the draft and build something around that? Because you could go into free agency, you could go and later on and draft a couple of offensive linemen. This is a draft class that's littered with wide receivers and tight end at the skill position, but there's no Jeremiah Love. Outside of Jeremiah Love, there's not another running back that's going to transcend a team in the way that he can do that. So we'll see what happens. Draft is a few months away. There's still draft combine. There's still pro days for a lot of these other players to raise their stock, and maybe somebody will come emerge out of that. I was looking at some of the big boards on who moved up, who made there's some names on there that are very intriguing, and then when you go back and you look at some of the videos from the pro day, you can see why their draft stock did rise a little bit. But these are tangibles. I'm more about the what I can't see, like. And some of these scouts are going to be the ones that's going to be out there actually beating the table for some of these players because they've been watching, they've been following these guys for periods of time now. So we'll see how that goes. That's what I got for you guys in the kickoff this week. Jumping down to the king of sports. This is our NFL segment where we talk everything about the NFL. Just a couple of headlines for you guys. Running back David Montgomery traded from Detroit to Houston for offensive lineman Juice Scruggs and 2 draft picks. The Commanders are planning on cutting cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, saving themselves $18.5 million. And the Chiefs planning on releasing offensive tackle Jawan Taylor, saving them about $20 million. This is the type of the year where, you know, the new salary cap for the NFL this season is going to be $301.2 million per team to be spending. There's teams out there that's already high above that salary cap, and there's teams that's probably close to $100 million under the salary cap. What that means is during free agency, you know, if you can lower some of these big name guys, it gives you a little bit more flexibility and freedom to go get guys that's going to change your franchise around. If you think you're just that 1 player away, that 2 players away, you know, you're going to get cheap players coming out of the draft. There's unsigned free agents. You know, during the preseason, you're still scouting during those times because not everybody's going to make their teams, because you're talking about every team carries 90 players into preseason, and before the season starts, you're going to cut that down to 53 players, and I think it's 7 or 8 players goes to the practice squad. forget how many players go on the practice squad. But yeah, and after that, all these players become unrestricted free agents and they could go sign wherever they want to. Speaking of moving players and cutting salaries, the Texans trade starting right tackle Howard to the Browns for a fifth rounder. Howard will get a new 2-year, $45 million deal. Vikings to trade or cut running back Aaron Jones Sr. and defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. Moves that have to happen as the Vikings are already over the cap by $43 million, even with the new cap being set at $301.2 million. These are one of the teams that where you're going to have to sacrifice players that you probably don't want to walk away from, but you have to get underneath the cap, right? The NFL is a hard cap league. Speaking of cap and spending money, Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys says he is willing to spend big money in free agency. It's a move from their everyday norm, but maybe Jerry's getting tired of not actually winning and wants to not be the reason for this. Right now they're in talks with George Pickens. George Pickens is looking like he wants number one money, but they're going to be trying to give him number two money because you're alongside CeeDee Lamb and you had a great year. And, somebody said it best. I heard him talking about how, like, they would want to see if George Pickens, because it's been proven that most players, when they're playing for a contract, tend to play better. One contract arrives, set player then regress a little bit. And if you're regressing because of injury or whatever the case may be, that's one thing. But I don't know. It's tricky. You was traded from the Steelers to Dallas for a low pick. You've changed the narrative around you by performing on and off the field, but it was also a contract here. And now you want number one receiver money when you are technically number two receiver. Yes, you had a great year. You had a breakout year. I want to say close to 1,400 yards. It'll be interesting to see how Dallas plays this one out. Moving on to my Patriots, Vrabel says he's focused on drafting and developing as not looking to make a splash in free agency. Take it as you may. You don't have things out there where you could potentially land Max Crosby. You could potentially land A.J. Brown, however it may be. But reports are saying that Philadelphia is being ridiculous with their ask for A.J. Brown. They're talking multiple first rounders for A.J. Brown. Clearly, they're not trying to trade him for whatever reason it may be. We all see with our own two eyes that this was very dysfunctional the past few years. You won the Super Bowl. Why not move on from the situation? And it's not just me, being a Patriot fan. I would love to have an A.J. Brown on the outside with the wide receiving core that we have right now. And then we go, if I had to pick out of the two, because Philly's not being realistic and everybody's trying to figure out their draft boards right now, it does look like the Raiders would be a more suitable partner to trade. It's not going to cost you too much. You might have to move off of that first round pick. But if you don't like the prospect that you was going to get in that first round pick at pick number 31, why not get a proven commodity at a Max Crosby? You know he's going to fit in our locker room. You know he's going to be productive. Barring any injury, it's worth the pick. That's my opinion on the matter. If it was up to me, that's why I don't sit in the seat. If it was up to me, I would have made it work and got A.J. Brown and Max Crosby, but I'm not giving multiple number ones for A.J. Brown. Not in a draft class where there's a bunch of wide receivers that I could go out there and target in the second round that has first round talent. So that's what I have for you guys inside the King of Sports segment this week. Moving into the hunt. You guys know I'm not talking too much about baseball right now. It's 182 games. They'll be playing through October. But right now in spring ball, the Red Sox are sitting at 6-4, respectable, mid pack. Some decent wins that I've seen. I'm not watching these games, guys. I'm just catching highlights here or there, and I see things come across my phone. Um, so yeah, that's inside the hunt. No major news coming in from Major League Baseball. Let's just jump right into Beyond the Lines. This is where we cover the world of golf, tennis, and etc. For the PGA and LPGA, the men this week will go and play in two different tournaments. They will hold the Arnold Palmer Invitational with a field of 72, no cuts. I'm pretty sure all players love invitationals. Invitationals means it's obviously invite only. It's usually the best players in the world. They come and compete, and there's no cut, so that means you're guaranteed a paycheck. I believe the purse on this one is $20 million. So you're not gonna be hurting. And for those that are not going to the Arnold Palmer Invitational, they will be down in Puerto Rico for the Puerto Rico Open. Listen, this is an opportunity for guys to let's be I the lower of the top 200 rankings. This is your opportunity to get some good seating under your belt, get some playoff FedEx Point win, and then potentially get a win on the PGA Tour, because we know win garners you some exceptions for other tournaments and all that good jazz. So shout out to all those that'll be out there competing this week for the men's side. And on the women's side in the LPGA, we got the Blue Bay LPGA tournament happening. In the world of TGL, the Boston Common Golf team beat the New York Golf Club 9-2, taking control of the number one ranking in the league. And the standings in that as followed at number 4. So in the TGL, there's 6 teams. The top 4 teams make the playoffs. And right now, as it sits with just, I think, 1 or 2 matches left on the season, the Bay is at number 4, at 2-2. The Atlanta Golf Team is at 3-2 at number 3. At number 2, you got the LA Golf Club at 3-2, and at number 1, you have the Boston Common Golf Club at 4-1. March 17th, the semifinal matches will happen as a doubleheader at 6:30 p.m. and at 9 p.m. on ESPN. On March 23rd, the final match 1 will happen at 9 p.m. on ESPN, and then the following day, March 24th, the match 2 will happen at 7 p.m. on ESPN. And if need be, they will have, if it ends in a draw, they will have the third match for the winner take all on, I believe, the following day, March 25th. So that's what I got for you guys beyond the lines right now. Let's just jump right into Campus Legends real quick. And right now we're focusing on the basketball stuff, right? So let's see what we got for headlines going for inside the Campus Legend when we cover the college sports, football, and basketball. Miami, Ohio. Them boys remain undefeated right now. But their AD is upset with Bruce Pearl for comments of saying that he does not believe that they deserve a spot in the tournament. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinions. I'm a firm believer. Them boys, if I'm not mistaken, they're 29-0 on the season. You're undefeated. I don't care what league you play in, what conference you playing, that your top 25 ranked team, you're undefeated. You should get into the dance. Now, where you seed in the dance, that's something totally different. That part I honestly don't care about. Giving you a chance and an opportunity to go play for a chance, because we've seen Cinderella stories before, and if this is this year's Cinderella story, why not give them an opportunity? To say that they don't deserve a spot is beyond me. People that are biased towards like the Power 5 conferences, we have the same problem going on in college football. Some would say that some teams didn't deserve to be in football. Slightly different because we know the game of basketball, especially the game of March Madness, when it comes to college, it's one and done, right? Similar to the college football playoffs, but it's a different sport where it's like there's more Cinderella stories that'll happen in basketball than will happen in football. That's for sure. I do believe that they deserve a chance to play. You go undefeated on your season. I don't see. When you look at the rankings, you could see. I'm trying to see. They're ranked 19th right now at 29-0. I'm looking at the teams ahead of them. I think that's fair. I mean, but who's people are gonna say, how's it fair that 29-0? Oh, the conference that you're playing, the teams that you're playing. I don't know. I don't know how many top 25 teams they beat along the way, but just looking at their schedule, yeah, they got 2 games remaining. There's not even a top 25 team on their schedule through the season, but you can't discredit them. They did what they were supposed to do. They play in the conference that they play in. The next closest person in their conference is Akron at 15-1, Kent State at 12-4, and Toledo at 10-6. Everybody else is single digit wins or below 500. Ohio is at 9-7. That's the last team that's above 500 in that conference. So you can see where Bruce Pearl might have some type of, does that mean they don't belong in the dance? I don't agree with that part. I think they earned a position in the dance. Now, where they get seated, that's something totally different. Like I said, at that point, I don't care. I'm not that invested into it. Moving on. Duke extends their record to 149th top 25 ranking at number 1. That's crazy in itself. 149 times you've been ranked inside the top 25. That's pretty cool. That's pretty impressive. Florida Gators on the men's side get a share of the SEC title with their win this past weekend. Their beatdown win this past weekend against Arkansas. That was crazy in itself. One of John Calipari's worst losses in his career, essentially. But speaking of that, let's just jump right into these scores. You guys know when it comes to the NCAA in Campus Legends, the scores that I'm really gonna report on, especially going into March Madness, is teams that are, in my opinion, are being upsetted. If you're ranked in the top 25, you shouldn't be losing to teams that are unranked. Or if you're a higher ranked team losing to a lower ranked team at the time, yes, it's not March Madness right at this moment, but at the same time, these are like I said before, these are the things that you don't want to be happening. You don't want to create bad habits going into the tournament, where it's one and done. It's not the NBA where you get a 5 or 7 game series. This is you win, you move on. You lose, you go home. It was a great season. See you next year. So on Tuesday, we had number 21 Miami, Ohio, remains undefeated with a win over Eastern Michigan at 74 to 64. Number 19 BYU loses to UCF 97-84. BYU is an interesting case to me. I feel as though with the Bansta on that team, it raised a lot of expectations on what that team was supposed to be. And I look at it, you're losing to unranked teams. I've watched you, and I'd have to go back and look at it again. I don't recall any true signature wins over like AP top 25 teams. Where are you? I'm on the women's side. Where are you? BYU? All right. I don't have time for this. But Jesus. But in any event, they dropped the game on Tuesday. All right, now I can't even find the damn game that they lost in. It was Tuesday, right? Well, in any event, they lost that game on Tuesday. I'm on the wrong Tuesday, that's why. 24th. Yes, so BYU, let's look at their schedule here. top 25 team. They beat Wisconsin early in the season. They were ranked 23rd. And a bunch of unranked teams along the way. They beat Utah. Oh, no, they weren't ranked then. They lost to number 15 Texas Tech. They lost to number 1 Arizona, lost to number 14 KU, lost to number 8 Houston, lost to unranked Oklahoma State, lost to number 4 Arizona. They beat number 6 Iowa State, and that's their best win on their season. Now, when I sit here and I'm looking at a BYU that has one signature win against a AP top 25 team, but yet another team, yes, they don't have no AP top 25 wins. Hell, they don't even have an AP top 25 opponent on their schedule, but they're still undefeated. So me looking at things, yes, they're not the same, but one team can't do anything against the top teams except for one time they won 79-69. So they did win. It wasn't like they squeaked by. But another team that's just doing their job, they should be entitled to get into the game. Like, they don't control their schedule. They don't control their conference. Whoever's in front of them, they play. I don't know how far they go. They could lose in the first day of the tournament, or they could go all the way to the Elite Eight. We've seen it happen before. So to say that they aren't deserving is beyond me. But anyways, moving on. Number 22 Tennessee loses to Missouri 73-69, and number 23 St. Louis falls to Dayton 77-62. And on Wednesday games, let's see. This is not an upset type situation. I just want to report on it. Number 6 UConn blows out number 15 St. John's 72-40. 72-40. 72-40. That is insane. But that's what my UConn people do. On the women's side, on Wednesday, Kansas takes down number 20. Unranked Kansas takes down number 20 Texas Tech 68-59. On Thursday, we saw number 13 Michigan State outlast number 8 Purdue 76-74. Friday, we saw number 21 Miami, Ohio remain, at the time they were ranked number 21, remain undefeated 29-0 with a win over Western Michigan 69-67. And then on Saturday, we had number 14 Kansas. I was watching this game because I was curious to see. Kansas has been like slaying players, top teams these past few weeks, and I was like, man, I wonder if they could keep this going, because I think the last few weeks, they when it came to like top ranked teams, they beat number 1 Arizona, they lost to Iowa State, but then beat number 5 Houston, and then now they just lost to Arizona again. I mean, it's a rematch game. They did get beat. When they beat Arizona, it was a close game. But at the same time, they got a lot of top 25 team wins. I'm not going to put past Kansas to make some noise in this tournament, especially when you're talking about one and dones. But unfortunately, they did lose to Arizona, number 2 Arizona, 84-61. And let's see what else happened on Saturday. Number 16 Texas Tech takes out number 4 Iowa State 82-73. Number 9 Gonzaga loses to St. Mary's 70-59. Come on, let's get right now. Again, number 19 BYU goes down again to an unranked team, West Virginia 79-71. Clemson beats number 24 Louisville 80-75, and number 25 Vanderbilt goes down to Kentucky 91-77. Then to round out the weekend on Sunday, we saw on the men's side Ohio State take down number 8 Purdue 82-74, and then we go over to the women's side. My number 1 UConn beats down St. John's 85-49. It wasn't a good weekend for St. John teams going against UConn. It's very demoralizing on that campus right now. Them UConn men and women just destroyed their lives with no regard. Number 10, Louisville loses to unranked Notre Dame 65-62. On the women's side, continuing on, number 12, Duke stunned by number 21 North Carolina in their win 74-69. And number 19, Ole Miss falls to Texas A&M 66-58. So what's that all mean? Let's jump to these rankings. On the men's side, and some of these, the thing that's going to be very interesting, we're right around the corner, March 15th, we're going to be looking at brackets are going to be coming out. You know, these little losses might not seem like anything right now, but once they start seeding you and you're looking at your pathway to get to certain things, seedings are going to matter because it's going to dictate who gets placed in your pathway. And that'll dictate if you're a one and done, if you're early out, if you catch the wrong matchup, the team that has momentum, whatever the case may be. But top 5 teams on the men's side right now, Duke holds the number 1 spot at 27-2, followed by Arizona at number 2, 27-2. Michigan tied at 27-2 as well at number 3. UConn, boom, 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 27-3 at ranked at number 4, and Florida rounds out the top 5 at 23-6. Some good teams. Yeah, Iowa State just went down too not too long ago. So, I believe Iowa State lost last night. Yeah, Iowa State went down. Then number 2 Arizona. So it might not be that bad when the new rankings come out, but at 6, I don't see them dropping that much. But in any event, let's jump over to the women's side and see what's going on over there. Unanimous number 1, UConn Huskies coming in at 31-0. Number 2, UCLA at 28-1. Number 3, South Carolina at 29-2. Number 4, Texas at 28-3. And number 5, Vanderbilt rounds out the top 5 teams, AP top 25 on the women's side, 27-3. Let's jump over to On Ice, y'all. This is where we cover the NHL, and On Ice right now, the trade deadline is this Friday. You have to make your trades and all that good jazz. I don't know who's trading for who's not trading for what, but what I can tell you about is these damn Bruins going 1-3 for the month of February, with the overall ranking of 33, 21, and 5. Total points is 71, and they're still holding on to the second wild card spot for dear life. It ain't the President's Cup team anymore, that's for sure. That's all I got for you guys on Ice. Let's just jump right over to the big dogs of the next few weeks, next few months. Let's jump into Court Vision, where we cover the NBA and WNBA. Couple quick headlines to cover. Tyus Jones is going to join the Denver Nuggets. So adding a little bit more depth to their backcourt behind Murray and crew. I think it's a good move for Tyus Jones. It's a good move for the Denver Nuggets as well, as somebody that could come off on your second line and add some actual value to the team on the second line, especially when you pull Murray off. Tyus Jones should fit into that 1-2 combination that you like playing with Murray and Joker. As long as you got the Joker and a competent guard like a Tyus Jones, I think this situation still works. You still got Bruce Brown on that team as well. So I like that pickup. Does it say that Denver is going to run away with something? No, it's not that type of pickup. It's just adding depth to your team. Trae Young, before even getting his first start with Washington, gets tossed, wearing street clothes. Tossed before out in the game at Washington the other night. I don't know what the kid did, but he did something to piss off the referee, and they just tossed him out the game. In other news, Giannis returns back against the Celtics last night, who both teams are on a back-to-back, and decided to sit JB and no Kata, and that still meant no problem as the Celtics blow out Giannis and crew 108-81. I was watching that game, and it was hard to judge like how great the Celtics are. Like, I think the Celtics are playing great ball right now, and we're deep, and this game was more so for our role guys to solidify rotation minutes when it comes to the playoffs, right? There's gonna be days where our big name guys, our starters like Sam Hauser might go cold, or Derek White might not be there. That doesn't mean you're pulling these guys, but you could extend minutes to a Luka Garza. You could extend minutes to a Bryce Shireman and all that. Like, that's what I saw out of this game. Those guys, they was balling out of control. And another thing that I noticed is the Bucks just did not care. It's as if the Bucks are just going through the motion, and it's on some like, let's play for the draft. Let's see what we could grab. Maybe Giannis is over the situation. They're just waiting for the end of the season to see how much they could get for him in a trade. I don't know. It's just hard to see a team that has by far one of the best players in the world struggling in this manner. Is it we love Doc Rivers, but is it a coaching thing? Did Doc lose the locker room? Is it Giannis that's just checked out and everybody else is just going through the motions as they try to figure out what their careers are going to be? Because let's not get it twisted. You trade Giannis, the Bobby Portises of the world, these other guys that are on this team. It's like, do we need y'all still? That could be a whole different regime by the time we come into the NBA season next year. But right now we're still in this season. They're nowhere near the playoffs, that's for sure. I think I want to say they're about, move out the way. I want to say they're about like 4 or 5 games. Yeah, they're 4 games behind in the 11th hole behind the Charlotte Hornets. And the way the Charlotte Hornets are playing, I don't see the Milwaukee Bucks get into the playoffs. Atlanta is sitting at 500, so that's 5 games above 500. We only got roughly 21 games left on the season, so the Bucks, you might as well just kiss the season goodbye. It was good to see Giannis on the floor. I'm sure Giannis right now is showing that he's still Giannis. So, and the Bucks are appreciating it because they'll be able to get a better haul for him this offseason, should they decide to move on from him. Because no matter what Giannis said in that weirdo interview with Malika, where they're making Giannis look better and feel better about himself, Giannis wanted out. They couldn't find a trade partner, and now he's saving face and saying he's a Buck for life. But we've done the song and dance with you already before. It's okay. I know you don't want to be pounding on the table publicly that you want to be traded and all that stuff, because you see what happens to the KDs and the Hardens and some of these other players that's just like bang the table and want it out, and they get attached to this whole thing. But you've earned the right. You've earned the right. You're one of the best players in the league, and your team is not doing what it needs to do in order to stay competitive. You still want to win. So yes, trade me, please, and make the trade actually make sense, because we're watching the situation right now, in the NFL with, no, I'm not going to compare those games. Let's just leave that alone. I believe Giannis should be traded this offseason. Get the most you could possibly get for him. As much players, as much picks as you possibly can get. And you try to send him to a destination that he would like to be. I think he earned that right. But don't get it twisted. I'm not one of these people that's saying, the Bucks got to do right by Giannis. No, it's a business. And I drafted you. I developed you. You're an asset. I'm going to try my best to get you what you want, but I need to make sure that I'm securing my future. Because once you leave, I am now back to square one, bottom of the barrel, trying to figure this thing out. And we all see, like, it takes a while to build a competitive team. And then no matter how wide open the East is, you lose Giannis, you're irrelevant at this point. You got to go draft well and develop well. And there's not much generational talents that's just sitting in drafts, So moving on from that, let's just run down the score rundown, because I'm excited about this one, guys. I've realized I don't suck entirely. I went 5 games over 500 this week. I did that. I did that. Now next week I could turn around and go 2-15, but it is what it is. Right now, let me bask in my enjoyment because I went 11-6 and now I'm 36-49. I don't completely suck with this record. I would have been, a playing team at this point. Well, shit, I'd probably be better than a playing team compared to some of these things. I'm a 36 wins, 49 losses also. But anyways, let's jump to these the scores rundown. The Cavs beat the Knicks 109-94. Not surprised. To my recollection, I think the Knicks were at the Cavs. Yes, the Knicks were at the Cavs. The Cavs did what they were supposed to do. And this, I would have liked to have seen a better performance out of the Knicks, but this is the Knicks. This is the reason why it's hard for me. Like I've been, if I had hair, I would pull it out. I don't know how Knick people stay fans because it's so frustrating watching the up and down roller coaster with these guys. You have the opportunity to to take a win in Cleveland, make a statement, and show people like, nah, yes, we might lose a couple of games, but we still know that team to beat. To the point where now, like, reports are coming out, like, you're nowhere. I think you're like the 4th team they have coming out of the East right now, 3rd, because I think they do have you over Detroit, which is very. I'm not gonna say alarming because I don't have Detroit coming out of the East neither. But if I was to pick a team, maybe I do have them 4th best team in the East as well, like some of these other people are saying, because the Oddenbakers are saying they don't even have Detroit coming out of the East at all. They're favoring right now, the favorites are the Boston Celtics, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers, followed by the Knicks, and then I don't even think they listed the Detroit Pistons coming out of the East. So that's wild to say that a team that's number 1 in the. Can they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and can they get out of it? Absolutely. Matchup dependent, injury dependent and all that stuff, but it's hard for people to pick folks that have not done before, but at some point they do it, right? We had those issues also, like the Boston Celtics. They was in the playoffs, losing the first round. In the playoffs, losing the second round. In the playoffs, making the Eastern Conference Finals and then losing the Eastern Conference Finals and then losing. At some point, you get over that hump. Like, yes, trials and tribulations build the best teams, but I'm not gonna count out Detroit right now. I've seen those guys play, and they play well. Now, they are heavily flawed. They don't have a number 2 option. They don't have the best shooting around, but they play great team ball. Team ball can outlast some of these other situations. When you're talking about a 4-game series and then injury dependent and foul trouble could put some situations at bay. You know what I mean? Like anything could happen once you're in the playoffs. So to write off Detroit completely is crazy. I'm not fully there. I think they're still, in my opinion, the 4th best team in the East, even though they have the number 1 ranked team. But regular season is different from the playoffs now. So we'll see how that goes. The Celtics beat the Suns 97-81. They continue their streak of winning games. Going on to the Wednesday games, the Thunder lose to the set Pistons 124-116. Keep in mind, Shea was not playing, guys. Jay Will was not playing also. So their 2 best players were out. But end of the day, you did what you're supposed to do. You can't control who's playing. I'm a firm component of that. I say in football, I say in basketball. I don't control the schedule, and I don't control who's on the field or who's on the court. If I'm not playing down to you, which most teams would do, right? You could have the Pistons going in there and play down to their situation because they don't. Oh, there's no Shade, there's no Jay Will, so let's just play some ball. We lose. No, you go in there and you grab that win because right now you 2 are playing for the number 1 overall record, right? You're some ways behind OKC, but tiebreakers will matter at some point. With 20 some odd games left over, you don't know what the situation can be, right? The Celtics on the road lose to the Nuggets 103-84. Guys, I saw this coming. If there was going to be a loss on that road trip, I pegged it was going to be this one because of the route that they was going through. And then the Nuggets, for some reason, play the Celtics very well, no matter what the lineup is, no matter who's in, who's out. Like, we've noticed this for the past few years. For some reason, the Nuggets just play the Celtics very well. Thursday games, the 76ers win over the Heat 124-117. The Heat's low key, they're a playoff team, or are they a play-in team? Which one are you guys? The Heat is a play-in team. I don't know. They got some work to do in Miami. They're a competitive team, but I'm not going to say a piece away. They're a few pieces away from being one of those top 6 teams. When I look at the top 6 teams, who would I remove off that list? Toronto, probably, because I don't think you're better than any of those other teams that are in the top 6. But Toronto's young, and they have the RJ Barretts. They have the what's the kid's name? Jesus Weezus. The one where the coach went on a tangent talking about going to be the face of the league. Wrong answer, because I can't even remember your name right now. So, moving on. The Lakers lose to the Suns 113-110. The Wolves beat the Clippers 94-88 for your Thursday games. On Friday, and guys, these are not all the games that's played. Remember, these are just the games that I'm focused on and I'm watching in, because some of the other games, you already know what the outcome is going to be. You know what I mean? When you have Nets versus the Bulls, like, do we really care? Or the Thunder versus the Raptors? We kind of know what the outcome is going to be on some of these games. Like, it's obvious as day. It'd be shocking if the other team loses or whatever, but it's nothing for me to write home about unless something crazy happens in that game, like somebody drops 57 or something. That was the Thursday games. Friday games, the Pistons outlast the Cavs 122-119 in overtime. That's a good win for them. You're talking about the Cavs are surging. They're making their way up the rankings. That's a way to, stop momentum on their end, and to also put it in mind, it's a confidence booster, right? We've played this team. We know how to play them during the regular season, and we see little things that we'll try to incorporate if we match up again in the playoffs. The Celtics bully the Nets 148-111. The Thunder hold off the Nuggets in the return of Shea 127-121. Saturday game, the Lakers beat the Warriors 129-121. I believe that was Luka's birthday game. He dropped like 26. I think he had a double-double in that game. Sunday games, the Knicks take out the Spurs big 114-89. This is the Knicks that I've been expecting. Why can't we get this Knicks every time? I'm not saying the blowout wins or whatever. It's the impressive wins where you go down 18 to the Houston Rockets and you come back and win that one. You grit, you fight. Because that's the Knicks that I saw in the playoffs that I was like, that took out my Celtics. Jason Tatum list Celtics, by the way, where in that game, because I was just watching the docu that Jason Tatum released, and, we was down 2-1, but Jason Tatum was cooking. He had 42 points when he goes down in the third quarter. And it wasn't like it was like that close of a game. We're talking about going 2-2 heading back to Boston. So, in any event, what I saw last year in that playoff run, knowing that there's no Jason Tatum, yes, I have, I've been beating this table. I have JB, I have Derek White, I have Payne Pritchard, Sam Hauser. I have a chance. I am a top 4 team in the East. Yeah, people thought I was crazy when I was saying it. They thought I was a homer. I was like, no, I know Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown loves to step up. And when you tell him he can't do something, he's going to do everything that you said that he could not do. And he's done it this year. In my opinion, should be MVP, top 3. If not winning it all, I believe he is at least all NBA first team, at least second team, could squeak into the first team. We all know how that goes. I'd have to look to see who's eligible to actually make these type of because you have to meet the minimum 65 game requirement for individual awards and accolades. So I'd have to see who fits in the threshold and where JB would fall, but JB is definitely second team All Pro, if not first team All Pro this season. I believe he should be top 3 in MVP candidate, if not number 1. You're talking about somebody who, and this is no disrespect to the rest of my Celtics, I love you all, but he's doing more with less. You're talking about a team that was told that this is a reset year, throw the season away, you don't have Jason Tatum, and they just end up being the second team in the East and still fighting for positioning where there's a slim, it's a 4-game difference between them and Detroit. So why can't they get there, right? Let me make sure I'm saying that right. If it's a 4-game, it's a 5-game between them and Detroit. So anything could happen. Yeah, but back to the Knicks. It's like, this is the Knicks that I was expecting to be here this season. This is why I kept pounding the table, swallowing my pride, and putting off my Boston hat off and saying the Knicks are the team so long as Jason Tatum does not return, because that's a cheat code. Knowing what I knew, we had JB and losing all the prowess and the firepower that we had, I knew with the coaching of Crazy Joe and JB leading the way, if you let Jason Tatum come back and we was in a playoff hunt and run top 6, come on now. If not now, when? No, it's never. It's never. That's what it's gonna be. But when I see wins like this, it fucking irks my nerves, because I'm like, you should be the team to beat in the East. Like, I don't see how are you not? How do you keep losing stupid games and then you turn around and go beat one of the best teams who I think is going to be coming out of the West? And you don't win. You beat them down. 114-89. Anyways, moving on. The Wolves win over the Nuggets 117-108. The Pistons beat the Magic 106-92. And the Celtics take out the 76ers 114-98. It's so funny how, like, a lot of people thought, like, oh, that's going to be the Jason Tatum game, and he's going to come back in this one. That's why it got switched to prime time. No, stop. We'll talk about that one later. In the Monday games, like I reported earlier, the Celtics demolished the useless Bucks. I feel as though they're playing for positioning at this point for this draft and getting ready to trade Giannis to see how much more picks that they could get in this draft coming up. Like I said, no JB, no Kata. In a back-to-back, the Celtics just take care of business 108-81 on the road on top of that. The Warriors lose to the Clippers 114-101, and that's the matchups that I have for you guys that I was paying attention to. Like I said, I went 11-6, y'all. 11-6, and overall record 36-49. Solid amount of games under 500, but it's okay. I'm a playing team right now. Don't let me get in. Let's see where we are, what that all turns over to in terms of standings. In the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons are still holding on to their number 1 spot, 45-14. But like I said, there's only a 5-game cushion with 21 games left on the season. And the Celtics are surging, right? In their last 5 games, the Celtics lost 1 game. And if you want to talk about their last 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They lost 2 games. 8-2 in 2 games. And they they got bludgeoned by the New York Knicks, and they got beat by the Denver Nuggets. Other than that, they was mollywopping everybody along the way. They're not just winning, they're demolishing people. I was close with Miami, 98-96. Other than that, you're talking about beat down after beat down, 10-point plus wins. I'm curious to know what their point differentials is on this season right now. I believe I heard him say that one of the best teams, if not number 1. But anyways, moving on. That's a statistical game. Our eyeballs are telling us what we need to see. The Boston Celtics is a dangerous team, and they still have a cheat code that they can unlock at any given point, which is insane when you was told last year that this is going to be a reset year. Won't you get under the tax and the repeaters and all this other stuff, second apron, first apron, just call it out as a loss. You could draft another player. What are you talking about? We accomplished the goals of Brad Stevens did what he was supposed to do. He got us the player that we needed. He got rid of contracts that kept us under first apron. So we did all the reset stuff that you said that we needed to do, all while staying competitive. Why? Because we got Jaylen Brown, MVP candidate, and Coach of the Year, Crazy Joe. And when I say Crazy Joe, it's out of love and respect. Okay. Moving on. The New York Knicks at number 3 at 39-22. They're fighting. They still staying there. They're in competition to try to take back their second spot in the Eastern Conference. The Cavaliers are number 4 at 38-24. The Raptors are at number 5, 35-25. And the 76ers are in at number 6, 33-27. In the play-in tournament, you got the Orlando Magic at 31-28. The Miami Heat at number 8 at 32-29. The Hawks are at number 9, 31-31. And the Red Hot Hornets are at number 10 at 30-31. Let me tell you something. If the Hornets could somehow get into that 7-8 hole, if not even higher, because you're talking about 3 games separate them from 10 to 6 with the 76ers. I don't know what team wants to play the Hornets in the first round. Not saying that they're going to win the first round. It's just that type of team is the type of team that's going to take you to a 7-game series. They don't know no better. They're not expected to do much. And they're coached well by former Celtic assistant coach Lee. Who's to say that they can't make an upset in the first round and get into the second round, or take a team to 7-game series that's going to, tire them out going to the next round, where they'll have to play like potentially a Knicks team, a Celtics team, or a Cavs team that's just going to bludgeon you, or a Detroit team. You know what I mean? Like whoever matches up with the Hornets in the first round, it's have fun with that one. I wouldn't want to play that team early on. Moving on to the Western Conference, the OKC Thunder are still hanging on to their number 1 spot at 47-15, with the Spurs just 3 games behind them, 43-17. The Rockets are in at number 3 at 38-22. The Timberwolves are surging. Something about the Timberwolves is every season we sleep on them because maybe they have a slow start, or they have like a slumping moment. And then out of nowhere, Ant-Man wakes up and just like, all right, it's time to play basketball now. And then they just start surging towards the end of the season every time. And then they end up like, that's a team where they have the pedigree, they have the talent, they have the coaching, and they've been here. They're one of those teams that's been knocking, but just not have gotten over the hump. Does that mean they're going to do it this year? I don't know. I still like the teams ahead of them, and there's a team behind them that's pretty scary also, with the Nuggets at 37-24, but I'm not counting out the Timberwolves. Like I said, the Nuggets are right behind them at number 5 at 37-24. The Lakers are at 36-24. The Suns are in at the first playing spot at number 7, 34-26. The Warriors are in at 8 at 31-29. Is that still correct? Because I don't think I updated it. 31-30. Yep. Because the game finished late last night and I didn't update it yet. And the Clippers are in at 29-31. Yep. And then the Trailblazers at 29-33. And that is your standings for the Eastern and Western Conference. So that leads me into my Lucky 7 top rankings this week. Slight little bit of changes, y'all, but this is how I feel. Every week I'm going to give you another one. I call it Lucky 7 top rankings. I should probably add in an 8th team, to be completely honest, because 8 teams get in every conference. But I like the term Lucky 7. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it at 7 for now. Maybe I'll change my mind next week. We'll see. Because there are teams where I'd be like, man, I like this team, and I think that they're a top ranked team in my opinion for that week, right? Because it could change week to week. We know this, right? But with that being said, at number 7, holding down the spot, they slightly moved down from the week before, but I was not looking to take them off of the list yet. The Denver Nuggets are in at number 7 of my Lucky 7 top rankings in the NBA. At number 6, new team, new upcoming that I was just talking about. I feel as though they're one of those teams that they just figure it out towards the end of the season, and you're not going to want to play them with the talent that they have, the coaching that they got. Give me Ant-Man and the Minnesota Timberwolves in at number 6. At number 5, I have the team that I feel as though people were paying attention to one trade, but it was another trade that happened that really made me feel as though, like, okay, this team is not going to be knocked out in the first round like they did last year. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers. I loved the trade of Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Love me James Harden. I think by right, and you know why we're focusing on the James Harden going over there, whatever the case may be, whether you like him, don't like him, for whatever reason, it is what it is. But that Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder trade, I feel as though is the key to making the Cleveland Cavaliers have a deep run in this playoffs. At number 4, I put the New York Knicks back at the position where they belong at. The New York Knicks should have been higher on this list, but let's be completely honest. The three in front of them are where they're supposed to be. So that's why the New York Knicks are in at 4. I'm glad I didn't have to drop them off the list, because the way it was looking at first, they was going to be knocked off. At number 3, still holding down their spot, I have the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, to my opinion, is the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference right now. In a year where it was supposed to be a reset, in a year where we wasn't supposed to amount to much. You just happen to have an MVP candidate, an All-Pro player, and a Coach of the Year candidate, to include a bunch of players that are just, everyone in our organization stepped their game up. You're talking about doing more with less, and Joe is coaching his ass off this season. You know, those that don't like Jalen and don't want to give Jalen his credit, I would hope to God that they give Joe Mazzulla his credit, because this is a coaching masterclass that Joe is putting on, to lose that much talent and arguably one of your best players on one of your franchise pillars, between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He goes down, and you just was like, okay, let's go win. Let's go become the second best team in the East and potentially take over the number 1 spot in the East. It's just crazy to me what's happening. That is why the Boston Celtics are in at number 3. At number 2, can't disrespect the champions. All they kept doing is still keep winning, even in the absence of their 2 best players. OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder are my second pick on the Lucky 7 top rankings of the NBA this year. You can't deny that team. You see it, it's special, and you lose. And this is why I make the case of more so for Jaylen Brown to win MVP as opposed to a Joker and a Shea. It's because we knew what we was gonna get out of the OKC Thunder, and then if Shea don't play, it's not like they start losing. They still could win. They could lose with. They're still winning with Shea out and Jay out. Their 2 best players are out. It's not like with the Celtics situation where one of their best players are out, both their best players are out, and they're still number 1 in the Western Conference, the deep loaded Western Conference. So when I'm comparing MVP, most valuable player, because if you sit down Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, don't count last night against us, because that's a one-off. I think the Bucks are just a bad team right now. But you take Jaylen Brown off of the Celtics along with Jason Tatum, the Boston Celtics are who you said we was going to be at that point. We're a play-in team at best, and we're just not a competitive team, right? But to watch this and say, okay, one team over here, you're saying that's an MVP candidate, but he could miss 15, 20 games and nothing happens to that team. They're still number 1 in the Western Conference, the deepest conference. And then the other one, and then you look at the Joker. Joker went down for 2 weeks also, and all his team do was keep on winning. I promise you, for a fact, if you take Jaylen Brown off of this team, the Boston Celtics are not a number 2 team. The Boston Celtics are at best a playing team and could fall even short of it, could fall even lower than that. That is the quality of a most valuable player. not popularity contest, not I don't like you, not you think you're too smart. I don't even know what the fuck that means. You think you're too smart. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Because he doesn't want to be in the boxes that you can find most players in, it just doesn't fit him. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyways, I'm not trying to go on a rant. This is my Lucky 7 top rankings. And the number one team is still the San Antonio Spurs. Even in the losses, I still believe that the San Antonio Spurs is by far one of the best teams in the out west. I think they have something out there that in a 7-game series is going to be hard to beat them. Period. With that being said, my NBA Finals pick has not changed from last week. I still have the San Antonio Spurs versus the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals this year. It's hard to still not pick these two teams. I think one is the best team in the West. I think one is the most dangerous team in the East, and matchups are going to play a heavy factor in this situation. You're talking about both teams are sitting in the number 2 hole right now. If you're sitting in the number 2 hole, you're talking about you have an advantage that the team that you're going to play had to play at least one game. Whereas the number 1 team, they're playing somebody who's played at least 2 games just to get to you, right? So I feel as though that kind of works in your favor when you're sitting in a 1 and 2 hole already. Obviously, you should be better than that team coming out of the 7/8 slot. So for me, it's like, okay, San Antonio, Boston Celtics moves on. Now the other teams, how their matchups play out, that dictates certain things. You're talking about the 4-5 matchup with Cleveland. It would be Cleveland versus Toronto, Minnesota versus Denver Nuggets. Those things you're talking about, you're knocking out a potential high-powered team to then set you up properly. And when you're talking about matchups and all that, that's how I feel as though the San Antonio Spurs and the Boston Celtics end up playing for the NBA Finals this year. And we'll see what happens. Let the chips fall where the chips lie. And that's what I have for you guys on my Lucky 7 top ranking for the NBA. Let's go to this rundown. Let's see if I could keep this momentum going and get a couple games over 500, because that's how you chip away. Get out of this play-in tournament and see if I get into the playoffs. All right? With 20 games left, let's see. This week I got at least 2 games. Oh, nope. Saturday, I only got 1 game. A couple games that I'm focusing on. Let's see. We got the Tuesday games. The Pistons at the Cavs. It's going to be a good one. I'm going to take the Cavaliers in this game. At home, you want to make a statement. Detroit's going to come in there trying to make their statement. You're putting yourself in a position where you're still fighting for a number 3 seed. And in the hunt for 2 seed as well. So why not go ahead and pick up this game? So give me the Cavs in that one. The second game that I'm focusing in on is the Spurs at 76ers. I would love to see if Joel Embiid will be back playing in this one. I would love to see Wemby versus Embiid. That'd be pretty cool, because it kind of cancels each other out, and now it becomes down to team roles and how the coaching and all that will play itself out. But in that game, go ahead and give me the Spurs. I still like the Spurs better in that situation. We know I love the backcourt of 76ers with Edgecombe and Maxey, but I just think the Wemby cheat code is just a lot, and then the backcourt of Fox and Castle in San Antonio, they just have a lot of bodies, big bodies that they could throw at Maxey and Edgecombe. Moving on to the Wednesday games, Thunder at the Knicks. Go ahead and give me the Thunder in this one. Like I said, it's a roller coaster ride with the Knicks. I can never trust them, and this is a situation. And Shea just came back, so it's like, yeah, I'm sticking with the Thunder on that one. Hornets at the Celtics. As streaky as the Hornets are, they're coming into the Garden. This is one of those teams you want to, if I'm the Celtics, do you want to let them know early and fast, like, hey, young fella, like, I'm glad to see what you're doing, but now's not your time. Go sit down. Give me the Celtics in that one. Moving on to the Thursday games. Warriors at Rockets. I always love old teams and old players going up against each other. The Warriors come to town against the Rockets. The Warriors are they're in the play-in, but they're struggling. It's hard to say how they make a deep run into the playoffs right now. The Jimmy Butler thing kind of threw a monkey in the wrench, and then during the trade deadline, as much as I love Kristaps Porzingis, that's all you bring back in, and you lose a talent like Kuminga, who could have, if y'all could work it out with him and the team, could have been a unlock a cheat code for you guys going into the playoffs. Not necessarily a cheat code, but it would have gave you something where you could see like, all right, I could make a playoff run because I have a young, talented athlete. But it is what it is. Give me the Rockets in that one. Then you got the Pistons at the Spurs. You're talking about a potential NBA Finals matchup. Not my pick, but it's a pick. It's out there. Go ahead and give me the Spurs in that one. Even though I like Duran, I like Isaiah Stewart. That's a bunch of big bodies that you could actually like, make Wemby work. But you're still not, you don't have that guy that's going to pull Wemby out of the restricted circle to protect that rim. So and Castle and Fox, they could score, they go get theirs, and their passing ability. It's hard to say that the Spurs don't win this one. That's why I'm gonna take the Spurs versus the Pistons, and they're at home. The Lakers at the Nuggets. Let's be honest, the Nuggets just got the Lakers number. I don't care if you add Luka. It ain't like Luka is some defensive genius. He's gonna be able to score, but the Nuggets could score just as well. You know what I mean? So, and you're talking about Bruce Brown, Tyus Jones, Murray. They're just gonna get into Luka's body and his space and not allow him to be comfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Nuggets at home on this one. Moving on to the Friday games, the Mavericks at the Celtics. Um, so this could be the game where we're talking about the potential of a Jason Tatum return. Uh, sure. Storylines are there, Duke versus Duke. Cooper Flag Jason Tatum, and local kid versus the franchise player coming back. Yeah, all the storylines are there. I don't believe that's the game that JT returns in, but it's on the calendar. It's marked for most to see. But even with the return of Jason Tatum or no return of Jason Tatum, I'm still going to take the Celtics in this game. The Knicks are at the Nuggets. This one, because it's a roller coaster ride, and I just said that the Knicks are going to lose to the Thunder at home. I think the Knicks then turn around and go on the road, and for some reason, some way, somehow, end up beating the Nuggets. So I'm going to take the Knicks in this one. Then you have the Clippers at the Spurs. The Clippers need it more, but the Spurs are just gonna take it from them. The Clippers have some good impressive wins where they could dig it out and grind it out, but I just think that the Spurs just got too much. And if I'm saying that this is who they are, you're talking about they have that game where they just got embarrassed by the Knicks, right? Now they could be on some like, what, these last 20 games, let's just go out there and just go on murderous row. Like nobody's beating us, and if they do, they gotta go earn it. And I just don't think that the Clippers are gonna have enough to go earn it against them. So that's why I'm taking the Spurs in this one. On the Saturday games, just one for you guys on this one. The Warriors at the Thunder. Not much here. You guys heard me talk about the Warriors already. They did announce that Steph. I don't even know why I'm picking this one now that I think about it. It's an easy one for me, that's for sure. Because I think they just announced that Steph's gonna be out for another 10 days or 10 games, whatever it was. So go ahead and give me the Thunder in that one. Sunday's games, you got the Celtics traveling to Cleveland. I know what my notes say. I'm gonna stick with the notes. Give me the Cavs in this one. I don't know why. I think the Cavs are going to try to prove a point. They're surging also. This will be a good win for them to get closer into that second, if not taking over complete control of that third, depending on how the Knicks play in these next few weeks. So, like, yeah, I think the Cavs play hard and heavy. Pause. And go ahead and take this win. So give me the Cavs over the Celtics, and they're at home. Knicks at the Lakers. Go ahead and give me the Lakers in this one. Pistons at the Heat. No brainer. Give me the Pistons here. And then the last night before the next recording on Monday night, 76ers at the Cavs. Give me the Cavs in that one. The Nuggets at the Thunder. I will take the Nuggets in this one. I just think that, like most, we're running out of games, and not saying that the Nuggets are trying to take over the number one seed against OKC. I think this is just more a statement situation. Like, hey, I could come into your house and beat you. That's a feather you want to put in your cap, especially the potential they're going to stay at the number one spot. So you need to know that you could go into their house and beat them. Go ahead and give me the Nuggets in that one. And then to wrap it up, it's the Knicks at the Clippers. I'm going to take the Knicks in this one. We'll keep riding this up and down roller coaster ride. I win one game, lose another, lose one game, win another. So why not give the Knicks the win over the Clippers on that one? And that's the games that I'll be focusing on this week in the NBA section. And that closes up our core vision. And that just means it's time for the legacy moment and final word. All right. Guys, I want to sit up on this one. My legacy moment and final word is going to be about the return of Jason Tatum. All season we talked about Jason Tatum return, should he not, all the pundits and the TV people, especially if you're a Knicks fan or some of these other teams that have playoff aspirations and making a deep run because the East is so open. But we all know the East is so open because there's no Tyrese Halliburton and there's no Jason Tatum. More so Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. Indiana Pacers, they've proven themselves. They were just in the finals last year, and they're a pesky team, but this Boston Celtics team is dangerous, and that's why a lot of people don't want to see Jason Tatum return. I am from the camp, if he's healthy and he's mentally ready to go, play him. That man knows his body. That man knows his limits. That man knows what he's about to do. And as an organization, people that keep saying the organization needs to protect the player from himself. You think these guys are not monitoring every step of Jason Tatum? You think they're not being probably overly cautious with Jason Tatum, and they see what they see with their own two eyes and know that, man, he ready? And we put ourselves in a position where we're not even just competitive. Like, we are ready to go on a playoff run. Jason Tatum told us if he were to return, it would be a home game. So then you sit there, you start looking at it, right? You're watching the documentaries come out. You're watching the games that are coming in. You're looking at the schedule and you're like, all right, it's about 20 games left. And you know, these pundits are already see the, you need 20 to 25 games to ramp back up. This is Jason fucking Tatum. Jason Tatum don't need 25 games. Jason Tatum, in case y'all forgot, was a world-class athlete. Barely sat out any games, had to fight his coaching to tell him to sit out of games. He takes care of his body. He's one of the, you saw it in the documentary, the doctor told him himself, 6 weeks after surgery, this is the best he's ever seen. And we watched Jason Tatum just keep checking all these boxes in high clips. That man is sculpted to be an NBA player. He knows how to take care of himself. His training staff, his trainer, and all that stuff knows what they're doing. So if he believes that he's ready to go and can mentally past that hurdle, which I feel as though he is mentally prepared and ready to go. He loves the game of basketball, and he knows he is going to be Jason Tatum. Is he going to be Jason Tatum of 100% right when he comes back this season? Probably not. But Jason, like I told you before, Jason Tatum at 80% is better than your guy at 100%. And then you put him back with his partner in crime, Jaylen Brown, who's an MVP candidate this year. Derek White, Brian Shireman, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Vooch, coached by Joe Mazzulla, who's only getting better every year, developing players like the Luka Garzas of the world, the Williams who's sitting on our bench right now, Jordan Walsh's. Stop playing with us, guys. Like, y'all, what y'all was wishing for is not going to happen. Then let's talk about these documentaries that he's releasing. It's releasing on these timely manners. We're getting towards the end of the season, so everybody's watching their calendars. And hell, I've been watching my calendar. I had my theories. I went down rabbit holes and looked at conspiracy theories on what people think, blah, blah, blah. And then if you're not here in Boston, you get to see the Amica commercials where they're talking about it. But there's a bunch of ads in Boston right now with Jason Tatum and Amica, and the ad, I believe the words of the ad is starting back from zero, or the same thing with his sneaker release. And I'm gonna come back and tell you guys what the ads actually say. But the ads started coming up probably a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago. Right before this new month came in, I started seeing one or two of these ads, but now they're like all over Boston. And here's my thought processes. One thing that led to my go down the rabbit hole on why I potentially picked this game also. Let's first talk about the schedule, right? On where, for me, it would make sense for Jason Tatum to come back. I believe Jason Tatum comes back at home versus the Washington Wizards March 14th. Why do you say it? Why do you think March 14th? It's not the threshold of the 2025 games. I already told you guys I don't be worried about no stupid 2025 games. Jason Tatum is playing 5-on-5 right now with his team. He's been ramping up. You think Joe doesn't have like real practices? This ain't no fluff practices that Joe holds. Them boys put in work at their practices. Here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at when we start talking about these home games as we start closing out the season. We got home on Wednesday versus Charlotte, home on Friday versus Dallas, before going on the road for 3 games against Cleveland, San Antonio, OKC. All right. People are saying the Charlotte game, it's a Wednesday game. You're not going to get the fandom that you want in the building. Oh, so that points to Friday. That's what we said earlier, right? It's a Dallas game. It's the Cooper Flag coming to town, the local kid that grew up here as a Celtics fan, and Jason Tatum's returning and blah, blah. And, marquee, it's a Friday night. No. And the reason why I say no is because of how much storylines is there. Cooper Flag's coming home, blah, blah, blah. No. Then after that game, you get on the road for 3 tough games. At Cleveland, at San Antonio, at OKC. Me personally, if I'm doing it, I'm looking at the Washington game, because you're talking about it's a home game that's a winnable game. So even with the pressures of Jason Tatum returning, because you don't want the pressures of Jason Tatum returning. Yes, you could beat Dallas, but then now you turn around and go on the road for 3 games. 3 tough games. Putting the pressure on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla, and then you finish road win where, I mean, we just talked about it. You went on the road. I think you lost 1 game out of 5. In the last 10, you lost 2. So then what happens when Jason Tatum returns and there's this expectation, even if he'll probably be on a minutes restriction or whatever the case may be, and everybody's learning how to play with each other again, which is the most stupid thing. I'll touch that in a second. But if I'm looking at this situation, I'm like, why would I want to go put that expectation on us? And then what if we stumble? You know, we lose to Cleveland, who's surging. We lose to one of the best teams out in the West, the two best teams out West, on a traveling. That travel alone doesn't even seem normal. Cleveland, to San Antonio, to OKC, just to come back and like. Then you look at the 314, St. Louis zip code is 314. I think Jason Tatum has always had that date marked on the calendar because we look at the schedule. We look at what's going to be the back-to-backs, what's going to be a pivotal time. And we look at the things that you'd have to accomplish along the way to get to the point where you need to be ready. And then how many practices with the team are we going to be able to get in? Because he travels with the team. He's practicing with the team. We know this. So he's been ramping up for the 20 to 30, 25 games that you're talking about. Yes, it's not live action, but Joe's practices run as close to live action as it possibly could get. And then I'm looking at 314 versus the Washington Wizards. That's a winnable game at home in front of your fans. It's a Saturday night. Everybody could be in the Garden. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be in the Garden because that's the game when he's coming back. Then you follow that game with two home games versus the Suns and the Warriors before you travel to at Memphis. Then you come home to host Wolves, OKC, Atlanta. So you're talking about in a 7-game stretch, you got Washington at home, 2 more home games with the Suns and the Warriors. You go 3-0 in that situation right there with Jason Tatum coming back. Great teams to put your best player out there to get revamped on a minutes restriction. Then you travel to Memphis. Now you get a road game under your belt. That's 4 games. Then you come home and you host the Wolves, OKC, and Atlanta. The Wolves and OKC are your 2 biggest games in that stretch, and then you get Atlanta after that. You're talking about an 8-game stretch where you could maybe lose 1 game. That's the momentum you want to give a Jason Tatum going back and revamping back into get ready into this playoff, because according to my theory, that's 16 games before the playoffs. If we do the Dallas game, that's 20 games. If you do Charlotte, that's 21 games. I don't really see a difference between 16 and 20. Not for Jason Tatum. Maybe for another player that's been out of shape, not knowing how to take care of his body and all that other stuff, haven't been checking the check marks on a team where they don't take practice as crazy as the Boston Celtics do. I just don't see it. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in this 20-25 game threshold ramp up only because of the player. I don't think Jason Tatum needs that type of ramp up. I believe that the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Joe Mazzulla, Jaylen Brown, Brad Stevens all know when JT is coming back. I know they left it up to JT, and JT probably told them, like, hey, this is what I'm gearing towards. And there's probably multiple dates that he gave them. Like, hey, I'm thinking about this. Hey, I'm thinking about that. Let's, and we'll see how it goes based off of how we're checking off, how we're progressing and all that other stuff. But I'm certain. I don't know the man. I've never talked to the man. I don't know inside sources. I don't got none of that stuff. I'm just me. Kevin B. the Brand, believe that 3/14, that's the day that's marked off on that calendar. And that's when JT returns back. And this BS that people talking about, oh, what's he going to do to the team chemistry? Right now, everything runs through Jaylen Brown. And it'll probably still run through Jaylen Brown. I don't think you guys have realized Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been told their whole careers that this is not going to work. They don't know how to play with each other. They this, they that. And all they've done is be in the playoffs every year of their careers. All they've done is gone through 3 Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry. Yes, 3 Eastern Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals, 1 championship, and could have made another run last year had it not been for another injury. And then, oh, by the way, they're the number 2 team in the East. The only people that got to adjust themselves is not JB. It's everybody else. Derek White knows how to play with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Peyton Pritchard is the 6th man of the year. What changes for him? Sam Hauser has been the best role player that you've ever seen. So please tell me what is the adjustment period the team has to do to Jason Tatum coming back, the chemistry. Nothing changes except for the role players like a Jordan Walsh. Your minutes will go down, but we've been developing you. You're gonna be. You're still gonna be called out in key moments. You, Luka Garza, and some of these other players that's on the team, the Brian Sharmans, because Jason Tatum's gonna be on minutes restriction. Until that gets unlocked, you keep doing what you've been doing this whole season, so that when it comes to playoff time, Joe Mazzulla could look down the line and be like, "Yo, I need you right now." So I'll see you guys inside the Boston Garden against the Washington Wizards on the return of Agent Zero. Jason Tatum coming back to play with this dangerous Boston Celtics team as they make a run towards the NBA Finals. I'm not going to say a playoff run because that's easy money. As we make a finals run, I believe the Boston Celtics will play in the NBA Finals because Jason Tatum is going to return. And I honestly believe that even without Jason Tatum, they could make a deep playoff run. The way Jaylen Brown is playing, and then you bring his brother back onto that court, boy, let me tell you, y'all gonna hate me. Y'all gonna hate Boston. Because we about to make another run. Right off of the Patriots making a run to the Super Bowl, we're going to have the Boston Celtics making a run to the NBA Finals. Hell, maybe the Red Sox will shock us. Maybe the Bruins will figure something out because they're still holding on to a wild card spot. That's why y'all hate us so much. It's okay. We had our years of losing. So we understand that. We understand where you're coming from. But since 2000, all we know is this winning shit. And that's why we're going to leave it at that. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to Please Excuse My Balls. Like the episode, follow us on social medias, and tell me where I went wrong. I didn't. But tell me. Till then, go debate yourself. I said what I said and I meant it. Peace.